Now convene this meeting of the Centreville Town Council. We'll start by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. First up is agenda review. Council, do you have any additions or changes to the agenda? Nope. Everybody's good? Okay. Next, we have the review of minutes from the September 19th meeting, which you were sent in advance and have in your packet. Any additions, corrections to that?
I make a motion to approve the town council meeting minutes of September 19th.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we have a citizens forum. Citizens are requested to keep their comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that wishes to address the council? Okay. All right, next up, the reason most of us are here, including me, the winners of the 2024 fishing derby. Gay, do you have the list, or
There is one in your.
is Sandy doing it?
Yes.
All right. Sandy, you want to jump up and announce the winners?
Wasn't it a fun day?
Okay.
Another fishing derby next year? Okay. 3-year-old Zane Fogler was in the 2 to 5 age category, and she won not only the first fish, but the biggest fish. But she already picked up her trophy. So we'll go on to the 6 to 9 age category. There were 2 winners. Oh, there was 7-year-old Sophie McNeese, who caught an 11-inch fish catfish. And there was 9-year-old Connor Kamabongsa, who also caught an 11-inch catfish.
Could have been on
Are they both here? Oh, come on
up.
up. And congratulations, Connor.
Thank you.
Then we had the 10 to 12-year-old age category. And that was won by 11-year-old Brooks Bug. He's 11 years old and he caught an 11-inch catfish. Congratulations. And finally, we have the 13 to 15-year-old age category. And 13-year-old Logan Dean won that with a 15-inch catfish. They all had a fun, exciting time, and we hope they come back next year for next year's fishing derby. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Right in front of the chair? Right on the end.
Scoot on in. Good job.
There is an also in there.
Smiles.
1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congrats, everybody.
Congratulations.
Oh yeah, one more picture for the paper here. I know.
One, 2, 3. All right, ready? One more time. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Congratulations.
All right, awesome. Next up, we have Elaine Studley from the Queen Anne's County Legacy Foundation to talk about 2024-2025 events.
Not nearly as fun. Hi, I'm Elaine Studley. I'm going to let John go first.
My name is John Cook. I live at 104 Roosburg Drive. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Legacy Foundation, and I'm sitting in tonight for my wife, President Sharon Cook, who is sick.
My name is Elaine Studley. I live at 201 South Liberty, and I am the Executive Director of the Queen Anne's County Legacy Foundation. Gratitude first. It's the practice of my home, and we'd just like to say thank you. I think all of our boards since COVID and before then could not have guessed out the amount of progress that this board would have made, this council, and we're immensely grateful for that. A little bit about us, for anybody who doesn't know who we are, we're kind of up on the board up there. We were formed informally in 2016, and then our ruling was in 2018. We're called the Queen Anne's County Legacy Foundation. We are a 501c3 nonprofit serving Centreville Historic District only. We do activities outside the historic district, but the goal is to bring people into the historic district to get to know how wonderful we are. We have a bit of a bias on that. We are a 100% volunteer organization. We were assembled in 2016, and our ruling date was 2018. I didn't want to talk about our mission. It would take too long, so I put it in bullet points. We're all about historic preservation, cultural tourism, economic vitality, exclusively focused on the Centreville Historic District. I want to brag a little bit on our president. She is not here, and on the members of our board. We have a very dedicated and talented board. Our president, Sharon Cook, influenced our mission, and I would like to brag on her a bit. Sharon spent the first decade of her career in the county, working for county government. During the second decade of her career, Sharon and John established a business in the Centreville Historic District. La Belle Maison offered French linens, home goods, at a reach of 5 states and a client list of over 3,000 people. Sharon and John bring a seasoned retail acumen and design skills to the Legacy Foundation, so we really are glad to have them on our board. And they're, particularly in events. When you take a look over there, that's Benjamin Franklin, and there's also a Benjamin Franklin from your packet. Sharon was the designer of that event. John, you're on.
Well, yeah, we're glad to be here to introduce 2 new programs for the Historic District. These new grants honor 2 of our founders, Judith Gigas and Rebecca Marquardt. In December, the Legacy Foundation will also reopen the holiday candlelight tour of historic homes.
All right. So, I'm going to share a little bit about my background. I don't usually do that, but I think it's relevant probably in the conversation today, and it will explain why we're interested in some of the things that we're interested in. I received my MBA on Wall Street, where I worked for 16 years in brand management and marketing research. I was responsible for one of the largest consumer databases in the world. While that's not true today, consumer databases are vastly changed. That database at the time was one of the largest. In 1996, I opened a marketing services business in Washington. In 22 years, we never took the time to establish ourselves as a woman-owned business because we were just too busy the whole time. My branding experience has influenced my career, and it's also that's the influence that I bring to my organization. Some of our members are very passionate about preservation. Others are very passionate about economic vitality, and you'll kind of see the blend of that. I talk about our Centreville historic brands so much that sometimes I sound like Don Quixote. I really am passionate about downtown. I believe that Centreville has a natural beauty, a beautiful natural brand, which evolved organically from a very unique history. We're not Chestertown, and we don't want to be. We are not Easton or St. Michael's or Berlin. We don't want to be. We want to be Centreville. And so if you take a look at your agenda, we're just going to move on and go really quickly through, and we'll leave that packet with you. I'm just going to go straight into the agenda. A little bit about our background and the things that we have accomplished over the years. We worked on the restoration of Wright's Chance with the preservation of Tucker House. That's part of our commitment to preservation. One of our grants will focus on giving monies to preservation for those assets. We contributed to the legislative support to the expansion of the Centreville Main Street, merely our voices at the time. That was about 2016. We contributed to the historic lamps as they were moved to Main Street. We provided the lighting, which we think might not be now, but we did provide the lighting for that. We did the new trees, or provided the new trees that line Main Street today. The holiday candlelight tour started in 2018. It was in 2019, and again, we will be opening it in 2024. An evening of Benjamin Franklin was an exploration into democracy, and you can see it there. You can also see in your packets the actual design, and this talks to our design standard for events. So if you take a look at that, what you're looking at is the actual design of the hall that night. This was Sharon's design that night. This is all plumbing materials, about $200 worth of materials in total, and 6 women sat in my parlor and designed 2 of these at that event. What I would say of this is in over 400 events in my career and 11 inaugural balls, this was one of the most beautiful designs I've ever seen. And to Sharon, who is a very dear friend who can't be here tonight, we're immensely grateful for her talent and hard work. So that's a little bit about what we did. We were not fallow during COVID. We developed an Olympic mask making team, and we joined the mask makers of the county. And that is something for the record. It was kind of wonderful. We passed fabric from door to door and had runners throughout the town. We provided the masks because we were not very good at it. We provided the masks for the courthouse, who were very understanding of us, and we also provided the masks for the detention center. There was a terrible shortage at the time, and if you saw a blue jean mask, those were ours. And if you saw our judge in a cowboy mask, that was also ours. And finally, the Rock and the Porch. We believe in supporting all the non-for-profits. One of our goals for the year to come, that's going to be a priority of our board, is creating camaraderie among all of the nonprofits. We have so much talent in our nonprofits. What we're good at events, design, logistics, and marketing, retail design and marketing. We do have some block grant work going on right now in retail to kind of support shouldering, picking up our retail, and then sponsorship, fundraising, and grant writing. Over time, over the 3 years that we were active, we earned about $40,000, $20,000 went into the downtown. It was in small increments. We're not huge, we never will be. We like being small, so our grants are usually somewhere around $1,000. The new grant program that we're about to introduce will bring us up to the $5,000 to $10,000 grant level, and that's where we'd kind of like to be if someone wants to try something new in the downtown in terms of an event, and it falls within our mission, which is cultural. Then that's where one of these grants would come in. The other grant falls into the area of preservation. We really hope to, 100 years from now, our great-grandchildren can come back and visit Wright's Chance or visit Tucker House, and they will be fully intact. So that's what the other grant is for. The grant program, I'm not going to go, there's a next page of grant programs. It will be a short application, 2 pages when we redo our website. It's going to be voted on this week, but when we do the website, it'll be entirely online. It will only be 2 to 3 pages, but will help us understand what you're looking for. They will focus on preservation, cultural heritage, tourism, and economic vitality. And that's a pretty wide range for a small organization. It's unusual. But we think we fit into the economic development, 2 points of the economic development study, and we'd like to support them. We will have a bias toward tangible architectural improvements and events with very clear metrics. One of the things, I am the adult child, or recovering child of engineers, and so I will always have a real preference for seeing metrics in everything I do. I believe in both before and after events, having metrics that tell you exactly how you performed and did you achieve the goals that you want to, and we will look for those. We'll also teach them. So if someone needs help in understanding how metrics are done for an event, we'll be glad to help with that. If you look to all of these are about the same. We're a cultural tourism. One of the things that we will also look for is endorsement from you, from the town council, and it's really the reason we're here tonight. We feel that if something's going to occur on the square, the town council having a say in it and a word and kind of contributing ideas, and the town. The town has been incredibly supportive. We've already got our Christmas thing going, and the town has already told us what dates we can have where and what signs to go. Thank you. You guys are amazing. It's really been wonderful. The 2 grants we're super proud of, and these are people who really are beloved members of our board. The Rebecca Ann Marquardt Matching Grant for Historical Preservation, we are hoping for our Historical Society, who is now also a member of our board, who came from our board, to look into the Maryland historic grants for preservations. They are very hard to write. They are very long. Rebecca was one of, not only was she a writer of those grants, but she was also a judge of those grants. She was the expert in the field. This is be for, you have to be a qualified NFP, a not-for-profit organization or 501c3. And the maximum allocation for this grant will be $10,000 in matching funds. For a Maryland historic grant, this means that you probably at the time will have written somewhere around a $100,000 grant for preservation. And that preservation will be confined to the structure of the building, whether it's the replacement of wood or the replacement of a roofline, historic species on the outside. John can tell you firsthand, if we ask him, that those are the things that those buildings need. And we're hoping to help along with that. The second grant is the Judith Ewing Gegas Grant for Tourism and Community Development. Judy Gegas, she's a wonder. She was an absolute wonder on our organization. We have lost both Rebecca and Judith, and this is in their honor. Judith was involved with just about every nonprofit organization you could possibly belong to. Judith not only was in it, but she was leading it half the time, and she had the best sense of humor on the planet. She's the only person who could make the entire board spit their coffee through their noses at a single meeting. This grant will be for events which attract heritage tourism or the arts and entertain in the historic town square or make use of the historic district. Architectural enhancement, any architectural enhancement which revitalizes the main street or the square area would be eligible for this grant as well, up to $5,000. Commercial sponsorships we will have expectations of commercial sponsorships for these grants. So if you're applying for the grant, it will guide you through and ask you whether or not you have sought sponsorship. So we would really love anyone applying for the grant to have some skin in the grant game in terms of having raised the funding. The next page, if you look at it, and I have to tell you the disclaimer of using artificial intelligence whenever I write a grant or whenever I write a proposal, I've become quite a junkie of it, but sometimes you have to filter through it. Somebody in law would know the limitations and issues of that, so I always put a disclaimer on anything I do. These are the key initiatives that I remember from CETA. CETA is still my passion. I joined CETA 3 days after I arrived in town. And I still believe in the economic study. That being said, as an MBA from Wall Street, I take a conservative view of finance. And that is that I would love to see CETA supported, and I'd also love to see the metrics coming and going from that organization of the things that we're working on. What we believe we can contribute to is the downtown revitalization, and we'd love to get the feedback from CETA. One of our events has the endorsement of both the town council and CETA. Would be thrilled. Tourism and cultural capital, that was one of the things referenced in that. And they did play a lot. When I look at our brand, regardless how far back I go in my career, I think it's one of the most natural brands I've ever looked at. And I think it's hard for people to see it, but I think our brand is actually better than surrounding towns. I think it is a more cohesive brand, and it's a better design. Our town square is really one of the finest designs I've seen in a small town square. What I would say is it's a small property, and the challenges we face in terms of revitalization are complicated. And a lot of nodding and agreeing up there, right? We are not in workforce development or long-term infrastructure planning. That's your problem. and gratefully, and we are immensely grateful for the progress you've made on that. That's pretty much it. A couple of anecdotal things I did not include. Let me see. Oh, yeah. If you look at the McKinsey report for 2024, there has been a resurgence of brick and mortar stores, and that has piqued our interest. We've started going after a block grant to help brick and mortar stores consider becoming. It's called cultural tourism or cultural retail, which means someone who comes down to town, they get a glass of wine, and then they go to store and buy a present for someone. So but McKinsey favors. We are kind of at a lucky turning point. McKinsey said that the resurgence of retail is actually going to favor what we're working on. The other I have with me, That's pretty much it. One of the things that came out of the CETA a long time ago, and which has resurfaced in some of my research, is going after micro and small tech, value-added manufacturing, distribution, which doesn't apply to us, telecommuter businesses, and retail tourism. We've actually seen that increase recently. And there are members of our board who are among those businesses and have voiced that interest in that being a focal point. That's pretty much it. One more thing, and that was the other day in conversation, a question about the historic mural came up. A mural has been proposed for one of our buildings, and it sent me away thinking, thanks, and then getting up in the middle of the night and thinking again, and then I ran a report on it. And so I have a report for you that I wanted to hand out. I ran a study on all of the surrounding towns and their approach to murals, the historic towns. You may have already resolved this entirely, but one of the challenges we have is not having that commission. We're so tiny. There's a flip side to that. We like not having that commission, and we worry about not having that commission. So, as an owner of an historic home, I don't want anybody telling me what my shutters should look like. But on the other hand, making everything fit into the town square is no small feat. So I ran a report on murals across the board, how they're done in historic towns, first here on the Eastern Shore, how towns have approached it from their perspective, and then I went to the Western Shore and looked for how towns as far as Baltimore, how they did. I'm going to pass this out. I think I only did 4. You guys can share, right? Y'all share well.
Thank you.
We would encourage a commission for this purpose.
I can hand it to you.
Okay, thank you. Simply being that the facade of that building is so large and the town is so tiny, a careful thought on whether the design should be scaled to the needs of the town is my only thought on it. Otherwise, this is simply how other towns have used it, the rules that they have had, and how their commissions have acted. We are done. Are there any questions? No? Okay, it's oyster time at Alibi. How did I do?
Well,
Oh, good.
Thank you.
thank you and the rest of your foundation for all that you've done for Centreville in the past, and thanks in advance for what you will continue to do for
We hope.
us.
We hope. We're excited. We are. We're very
Tell
excited.
Sharon we hope she feels better.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
I will. Thank you very much.
She's going to be sorry she wasn't here. We're going for the oysters.
All right, and I apologize. We're going to go back to Citizens Forum. I did not realize someone had signed up. So if you want to come up and address the council, sorry about that.
My name is June Clark, and I live at 425 Spiderweb Road. I'm here tonight to invite you all to the 3rd annual AL's Walk. This is our 3rd one, and we're very pleased with the response we've got from the community and everything. Our first walk was in Rehoboth, which we had pledged $10,000, which we made. And it's the 2 walks that we have had here, we have made over $100,000, which we're so pleased with it. So the walk is on October the 20th at Route 18. It starts at 10 o'clock registration, and the walk will start at 11. And it's you can take 2. You can take a mile walk, or you can make a 2-mile walk, whichever you prefer. We have raffles that day. We have free coffee, health bars, fruit, so you can have your breakfast right there too. So I'm going to leave this flyers with you and hope you will look it over, and please consider coming to our walk.
I'll be there. I've come every year, and I'll be there this year, so thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up in new business, we have some boards and commission applicants. The names are in your packets. Okay. We have a nomination for the Park Advisory Board and a nomination for the Board of Supervisors of Elections. Do we have motions on these?
Can I cover them both in one motion?
I think so.
Good. I'd make a motion to appoint Pat Eggington to the Parks Advisory Board for a 3-year term expiring April 2027. And furthermore, motion to appoint Jill Kreis, maybe Kreis, I'm sorry, to the Board of Supervisors of Elections for a 3-year term expiring April 2027.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Did I butcher Jill's name badly?
don't know.
Okay, well,
I
sorry,
guess,
Jill.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, sorry, Jill.
When you swear her in, you'll have to
That's
ask. Now we know who's doing the swearing in.
Oh, yeah, no problem, no problem. I will take that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, moving on to old business, we have ordinance 10-2024, the budget amendment for second, it's just a second reading, and I'm sure the public hearing is,
On the 7th of November, because the next
Yeah.
meeting is the reorg.
cool. Okay, and then we have ordinance 11-2024 sidewalks, also a second reading, same public hearing date?
Yes.
Okay,
Taking any comments on these from us?
yeah, sure.
So the sidewalk one, I have real problems with. I don't know about all of the subdivisions in town, but I know some of the subdivisions, the sidewalks are not on private property.
Right.
And I think it's, I don't know how a town can compel a landowner to make repairs on public property off-site. I mean, the sidewalks were built by someone else, they were built to the town standards, the town approved them. I'm great with having the portion of the ordinance that has us all shoveling it. That's a community effort, community-based effort. But I don't think it's appropriate, and I frankly wonder if it's even legal for a town to compel a property owner to repair public property.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I have a question too about, like in our neighborhood, the street that's not yet been turned over to the town, I guess. There are serious sidewalk issues already. Like, we got to make sure the developer is fixing those before they become either ours or the property. I mean, there's like a sunken square of sidewalk on Providence Lane. So just making sure,
Yeah, those.
before we saddle someone with this, we have to make sure the sidewalk is in good condition when they,
Yes.
Is that Providence 5 you're talking about?
I don't know, it's the,
The newest section?
not really the, yeah, I guess it's the newest section.
Because I thought we
It's
had
where the
already,
flashing stop signs are, that left.
Yeah.
That left, and there's a huge sunken chunk of sidewalk that's like 4 inches below the rest of the sidewalk. I've had Mike come out and look at it, but
I think the town's already accepted the earlier sections.
Oh, the earlier section,
Yes.
yes. The
yes,
latest-
not that section. I'm
Not
saying
that
we don't
section,
have that section yet.
Right.
The street's not at grade yet.
No.
Right.
No, we haven't. Actually, Jeff just asked about this the other day, and I checked with Kip. The very last house, I think, was just built.
Yeah.
They have not requested a final inspection from us, so once that happens, I think that then triggers
Yes.
the process for them to
I just,
finish the streets and us.
When they do a final walkthrough and everybody, they'll
Yeah.
inspect everything and whatever's wrong should be fixed.
Oh, yeah.
just more broadly on this issue, I agree. Like if it's in the public right away, what responsibility do we have before it becomes a property owner's problem, I guess? If it is legal to make it their problem.
You know, years ago, Council Member McCluskey championed the sidewalk fund, that we were putting money in annually through the budget process to repair sidewalks. I don't think we ever pursued that with a lot of diligence, but that was the intent. Because there are a lot of sidewalks, particularly downtown, that are brick and require some special sort of attention. Don't know that
mean,
you'd
right out
want to
front.
don't know that you'd want to compel a property owner who knows how they'd repair it. You know, what standards do they go with? I think the new standards for construction would not allow them to rebuild an older brick sidewalk. So I think sidewalk repairs needs to be the public's responsibility. I think if a private party wants to volunteer to do it and can get the town's approval to do it in a certain way, I think that's great. But I don't think you can compel me to do it.
With the sidewalk fund, I raised concerns about that when I first got on the council of what liability were we assuming by sitting on this money and having so many sidewalks in disrepair around town? Like, what, are we liable? I mean, the sidewalk right in front of my house is not repairable. I've had a company out, it cannot be repaired. Like, I'd have to build a bridge over that tree root would be the only option. They have said it cannot be repaired. So like, what is the responsibility of a property owner if the situation has devolved to a point that it's
Right.
irreparable. I have a lot of questions about sidewalks.
And I think when the sidewalk fund was originally set up, and then we were always under the impression our code said this already, that property owners were responsible for sidewalks. So I think that it got taken out, and then we realized, no, it doesn't really specifically say that in our code, so that's when we,
I've always thought that we were responsible for shoveling
Me too.
in front of our own property, and I'm good with that. That's for the kids up and down the street. It's something I'm certainly willing to do, and I think all of my neighbors are as well. Other neighborhoods, I'm sure, have the same feeling. But in terms of capital investment, I have heartburn on that, and I guess I might defer to our council here. Can the town make me do that on public property? I mean, are they gonna make me repair the street in front of my house too?
I mean, it happens all the time. You often have developers and you require them to do frontage improvements, even when it's not on their property and it's in the public right of way, especially in the commercial context. You know, it's up to you all, I think, whether you want to impose that obligation.
But that would
on-
be part of their plat that they submit, part of their site plan that they submit.
Exactly.
I mean, we're not gonna call somebody 10, 15 years later and say, hey, come on back and fix this, once we've approved it.
Right,
If they built it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, or
The property
they
owners
own,
generally did not build the sidewalk,
yeah.
nor have any control over the way it was built.
Or the tree you wanna
Residential,
put
it's a
there.
lot harder issue, and there
Yeah.
are different jurisdictions do different things. There's some that say if the property owner damaged it, then they should be responsible
Sure,
for it.
I'm good with that.
If the town damaged it, then they should be responsible for it. And it's kind of that in the middle.
Right.
It's, you know, the tree root or the wear and tear over time, who should be responsible, and that's more of a policy decision for you all.
I'll be interested to hear what people think at the public hearing.
Yes.
Anything else on this? Okay, next up, we have reports of boards and commissions. Maryland Municipal League,
Nothing significant to report, thank you.
Council of Governments,
Nothing to report, meeting next month.
Park Advisory Board. Big thing was the fishing derby, which I think went really well. It was extremely well attended. It was a great day out there. Planning Commission.
Planning Commission is always doing something, so last night they had a work session, and had an informal discussion on what the vision was for the Central Business District, especially along Railroad Avenue, which has been added to the CBD. One of the things they said that would be needed is some kind of gathering space in that area. I mean, the courthouse is kind of the gathering area for the Central Business District, but when you start extending it down Railroad Avenue, that's no longer practical. So that, you know, there's a place for the neighbors to gather would be helpful. They also discussed the changes needed to the plan unit development and reviewed what progress has been done so far. They also talked more about the tiny homes, and it's one thing that was brought up was like the Captain houses are probably a good example of tiny homes, and our current code would not allow them to be built that way. If those were destroyed in a flood or something like that, our current code would not allow those to be rebuilt because the lot sizes are too small, the houses themselves are too small. Anyway, so thinking about changes to our code maybe to allow for those types of developments. If you want to continue the look and feel of an historic town, you need to make those adjustments. And the people in Asheville, North Carolina probably discovered that as well when they try to rebuild their homes and find out their zoning code probably won't allow it to be looked the way it did. So anyway, they also talk more about the transect concept, which is a little technical, complicated to understand, but it kind of, you know, our planning consultant is certainly helping us along, trying to understand that. So, and their regular meeting is October 16th.
that it?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. All right, reports of department heads, town manager.
Just a couple things. One, just a reminder that the next meeting is the reorg meeting, and we will be taking pictures. So just forewarning everyone.
I'm always ready.
Get my life together.
It just doesn't get any better, I'm sorry.
My hair doesn't.
And then there was an email I sent to council. I had a conversation yesterday with a farmer who tills our spray field and who came in to discuss the damage that has been occurring to his crops on the spray field, and was seeking permission to be able to hunt on that. There are some specific items, because at first I had probably maybe the first reaction was like, but made very, very good points. And he did say that he does have satellite imagery that shows the progress in damage over the years. So, and it would be to help mitigate the damage to his crops. They would only be using a bow because of the history. We've had history of trespassers on that property before. So to ensure there isn't anyone on there, they would not be using any guns. The deer meat would be, or the deer itself would be donated to Hunters and Farmers for the Hungry in Tuckahoe, which I had no idea that existed, which I think is pretty cool. And he does already do this for other farms. And then the insurance that he does carry already carries this for his crops as well as hunting, as he does this on others. So I don't know if the council has any questions, if you're okay or if you are not okay, or his current lease prohibits him from doing that. So we would either do a letter of agreement or a revised lease.
So can we just do it with a lease addendum, or is there anything we have to do legislatively?
I think the way the lease reads is that he can't hunt unless there's express written permission from the town.
Okay.
So I think we could do it by a letter.
Okay. Can we just use that form, that DNR form that allows a non-owner to hunt on your property? There's like literally a form on DNR's website that you fill out for a non-owner to hunt on your property.
Okay. Yeah, we can check that out. Something I think what you'd be looking for is authorization from the council for Carolyn to sign whatever it is. The DNR form, a letter, whatever we come up with.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
Fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Cool.
It's okay. All right, that's all I have.
Right.
As long as our public works employees are protected.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Decide.
yeah, yeah. And they, we'll do a sign, and then they are, he's familiar and knows all of our public works employees and has phone numbers, so they can, we'll make sure that they're contacted and assigned. And they would be in the woods part, not actually out in the field part too,
right.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Town clerk, anything?
Yes, this afternoon, Ruth Higgins reached out to me from Order of the Eastern Star. She is requesting a proclamation from the town council. They're having their 100th anniversary celebration, which is November 2nd at the Goodwill Fire Department. And their meeting's the 2nd, so I would have to bring the proclamation for signatures on 10/17. If you guys are okay with, or if you need any information on what the Order of the Eastern Star is, I'm happy to send that all to you before we make a decision, but she's looking for a 100th year proclamation.
Okay. Anything else? And sorry, I skipped over you, town attorney. Yeah, anything? All right. We'll now enter our second citizens forum. Any citizens that wish to address the council? Okay, council roundtable. Councilmember Keel.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Beecham.
There was some scheduled tree trimming on Green Street for this week, and I requested that it be delayed until we think through a policy on tree trimming. The Maryland Department of Transportation has their guidelines for state highways. I don't think those same guidelines should be imposed on residential streets. I confess, my tree needs trimming. My wife and I talked about this weeks ago, but I haven't got around to trimming it, so I'm as guilty as anybody else about needing to trim my tree, and I plan to and will. But I would like to have a policy in place on how we trim them. I think trimming to 14 feet is a little excessive for residential street with smaller trees. I think just clearing a quarter from ground to infinity is not practical either. We are a Tree City USA community. The math for that is based on tree canopy area, so I think having the canopy is important, but we need to make sure it clears the vehicles that, the school buses particularly, that travel through. So I've asked Mike Whitehill to provide some guidance on a policy for tree trimming dimensionally, since he does the Tree City thing, so.
Cool.
It's, yeah, because something came up with Northbrook trees too. Fire truck. I think it's 12 feet tall. So they were having problems coming out. School buses complained about it, and also the fire department complained about the trees of Northbrook, so.
But in the middle of their median?
Yeah, when you're coming out the entrance, want the left-hand turn lane, you can't even, if you have a bus or a tall truck, you can't even get in the left-hand turn lane because of the trees.
Oh, okay.
Going in is not too bad, but coming out, so if we could, I don't think 14 feet is that bad, but like you said, we need to come up with a policy.
Maximum legal height for semi-trucks is 13.8,
Yep,
so.
yeah.
Should at least be 4 less. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Worth?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Just one quick thing from me. Tomorrow is First Friday. It's the last one for the year. So 6 to 8 in the town square. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. We are adjourned.